In the last few days, I've been contacted about possibly being involved in a couple of indie film projects. One of them I haven't got any more information about yet, so I'm just waiting to see what it's all about. But the other one, I withdrew myself from contention, and it made me think, what are the reasons that you would do something like that or say no to a project? The reason I withdrew from this project was not to do with any of the things I'm about to mention. Well, it touches on one of them. It's because I was sent the initial, I'm going to say 10 pages, I can't remember how many pages now, which I read and I liked it. But I also have a project of my own that has a similar role, a similar setup, a similar kind of environment. And even though they're quite different, I felt that the similarities were such that it may even be unfair to play both roles, especially as for my project, it's, I'm the one making the film, I'm the director. So the opportunity for changing things for the wrong reason or doing something different on one of those projects, even unconsciously, I just felt it wasn't the right thing to do. And that's really hard because, excuse me, as an actor, especially, when you're not getting regular work, saying no to something is quite something. And because you're always worried, A, that you're not going to get any more work, and B, that, oh God, what else was I going to say? It's just gone. Not going to get any work, or people might think you're, difficult or too selective, or, and you need the money. Everyone needs the money, and it's always really difficult. Doesn't matter whether it's an acting role like in this situation or any crew role or anything to do with any part of filmmaking. Unless you're at the very top getting regular work, everyone needs the money, everyone needs the work. And saying no is very difficult. But it just felt like the right thing to do. So I did it. Hopefully I'll have some more positive news about the other role that I was contacted about once I get some more information. Excuse me. Okay, so that raised that thought, like I said at the start, that what reasons would you say no? And of course I've got my trusty notes. I guess the big one is red flags. Things like, expecting to do your own dangerous stunts without a stunt coordinator there. It might be intimacy scenes without an intimacy coordinator. It might be, sensitive subjects. It could be anything really, anything, because it's going to be different for each of us personally. I mean, things like stunts without a stunt coordinator is universal, I think, because you risk serious injury. But all the other things, well, not all. Everyone has a different line which they won't cross, where their red flags are. And you have to be aware of yours and make sure that in any contracts or agreements or anything like that, that your concerns are addressed. So if they want you to jump off a 100-foot building, you want to make sure that there's a stunt coordinator or a stunt double, ideally, for something like that. Same with intimacy. You want to know exactly what sort of intimacy is involved, and then you can make an informed decision about whether that's something you're comfortable to go ahead with, or you want an intimacy coordinator, and make sure it's in the agreement, whatever agreement you sign. So yeah, just, you know, we all, as I said, we all have red lines. Make sure that you're covered for what you feel comfortable with. And don't risk. These stunt coordinators, for example, and stunt doubles, these are highly trained professionals that know what they're doing. So why not use them? If you're not comfortable with the character or the story, maybe there's offensive material, harmful caricatures of people that you're not comfortable with, violence, explicit content, themes you think are gratuitous and not story driven. And that really comes down to it. I mean, actors are pretty flexible in general, but they need to have a reason. There's, you know, you can't just say, get your shirt off here because that's going to look great. I know some high profile films have done that, but actors don't want to do that. If you gave them a real, meaningful, story-based reason to do something, then they're going to be a lot more open to it. But if as an actor you feel like this is gratuitous or unnecessary, or doesn't move the story forward in any way, or address any of the themes of the film, or it's just in there for well, I don't know why people put it in there, but it's in there for reasons which have nothing to do with the film, really. Just turn the page. Make sure you're not out of pocket. Even if you do a film, the showreel material or whatever it is, you know, you still have to get there, travel, still need to be fed. You still, if it's out of town or overnight or something, you need accommodation. Just make sure all those basics are covered before you commit to it. Because you don't want to, you know, travel halfway across whatever country you're in and find out that they're not going to cover your travel, because travel is not cheap. And, you know, you got to feed people, water people, all the rest. And I made a film like this, and it still weighs on my conscience, because it was made deferred payment. And, you know, a lot of indie, you know, the vast majority of indie films never make any money. And Kin Spirits, which you can watch for free on Tubi, is no different. It is crawling along. You've got to offer something. So if the film does get lucky, or, you know, you just strike a bit of gold and it does well, then your involvement in it is rewarded. So the film makes some money, you can pay those deferred payments. You can give the investors, if you have any, some return on their investment. But you've got to offer something, you know. You can't expect people to do it for nothing. As I say, even if they're working on deferred payment basis, which frankly I personally hated doing, but it's how we got the film made. So, but if I'm honest, I hate it. I don't like doing things that way. I'd rather pay a little bit than do deferred payments. So as an actor or as a crew member, you should make sure you've at least got deferred payment. Obviously with shorts, you know, you're never going to make any money on shorts, but if it's a feature or a series or something like that that someone's making for next to nothing, then in your agreement, make sure that there's a deferred payment. You agree a rate, and so that if it does make money, you get paid. And the last point I've got here is to avoid typecasting. And this is really, really difficult because, you know, if I'd got continuous work for the last 2 years as the lovable uncle or the devious stepfather or something, and then all of a sudden I'm playing a different type of role completely, that's a bit scary, because you may have got some sort of regular income, even if it's sporadic, playing that role. And if you change, those roles might dry up. But every actor wants to play a variety of roles. They don't want to play the same character for 40 years. So you've got to weigh it up for yourself. But yeah, getting typecast can be a reason to say no. I remember, who was it? Matthew McConaughey, I think. I saw something a few years back on him. He was always playing the love interest in comedies or something like that, always comedies. And he said he just one day, well, obviously he's in a position where he has a lot of choice because he's got plenty of money in the bank, but the principle's still the same. That, you know, he just stopped saying yes to those roles. And he got no work for, I can't remember what it was, 18 months or 2 years or something. And then he got Dallas Buyers Club, which was, to say it was completely different from what he'd done before would be an understatement. And, you know, he did a fantastic job and showed that he could do different things. But there's a risk. And as I say, he had, with all due respect to the difficulty of his decision, he already had a sort of a comfort level of success, so, which 99% of actors don't have. Okay, and I guess the golden rule is that if your gut is telling you, screaming at you, that something is wrong with a production or the script or the people, trust your gut. Okay, thanks for watching. Kin Spirits, as I mentioned previously, is still available to watch for free on Tubi. It'd be great if you could go over there and do that. And I hope to see you on the next one.